guys? John, the firearms instructor. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live from the range. A little different. We got our green screen up this evening. I did a little bit of cleaning at the range today and cleaned up some stuff, and I'm going to try this for a couple weeks and see how this goes. It's kind of I'm sitting at my desk, a little more comfortable chair. We're not back against the wall, and I'm focusing more on the camera. I have security cameras I watch all the time. So I thought I would just go ahead and do this for a couple weeks. We'll see how it goes. Looks like we got six people on right now. If you're on and you've never been here before, go ahead and comment. Let me know where you're from. Go ahead and do a roll call if you'd like. We've got a great show for you this evening. Someone let me know I'm coming in live and clear. I would appreciate that. It helps out tremendously. Hello, Philip. Hello, Howard. How are you guys doing this evening? I'm glad you're here. We are having a great show for you guys this evening. Hopefully everything's going well for you. It is for me. We are in the summer doldrums here at the range. A little slow today, a little slow yesterday. Hopefully we'll get picked back up. People are thank you, Stan, for saying that. I am going to change a couple lightings. Hang on one second, guys. I didn't put my lights on. Let me go ahead and adjust this real quick. Lights are on. That may help out a little bit of a color. Maybe. All right, let's see how that goes. All right, there's a little bit more color for me. I don't look so dark. Put my microphone on. All right, I'm back. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Good to see you guys. Glad you're all here. That's awesome. A loyal bunch of people. I appreciate you being here each week. I've got a great one for you this evening. We are going to be covering some of the biggest gun myths that are being displayed on YouTube and other places that you've heard and seen before. I think it's going to be kind of cool. Before we start, I had a student contact me. I can't seem to find his email, but he was asking about dominant eye. How do I know what my dominant eye is? It's pretty simple technique you can do. You can actually use the triangle method, which is you put your hands in front of you like this. You concentrate on a target with both eyes open and bring it back to your face, and it'll automatically go to your dominant eye. Yeah, it is a virtual background. Yes, it is a virtual background, Howard. But we're trying to play around. I got a green screen in the back here. We'll adjust it as we go. It's part of trying to keep my studio set. Each week I have to take the studio down and put the studio back up. And I'm trying to kind of streamline stuff as much as possible so I don't have to keep putting it in and out, in and out, in and out. So hopefully we can give this a try for a couple weeks. Yes, that is a big hog in the back wall. That is one I shot with my bow many years ago, and that is a whitetail from Florida. That's a 7-pointer. Very nice deer. I shot my bow as well. I'm more of a bow hunter than anything else, so but I do enjoy it. All right. So we want to discuss this evening about the masterclass. We put this masterclass together for you. A little bit of advertisement before we start, guys. I know you heard this before, but our next masterclass is June 2nd, and that starts at 7 p.m. We have a masterclass going on right now. This will be our 4th masterclass, and it works on some basics. It's going to give you a course that you can do from the comfort of your own home. It's going to give you a PowerPoint presentation. It's going to give you videos. It's going to give you 4 full weeks working with me, going through your fundamentals. You get a live PowerPoint once a week. I give you homework. I give you an ebook. I give you all the stuff you need. And you're getting 5 weeks working with me to master your handgun for only $99. If you're interested in the masterclass, you don't need to come to me. You work at your local range on your own. But if you are local here, when you come to work on the masterclass, you don't pay for range time, and we help you. We give you, when I say proper grip, you're going to see a video of proper grip. When I say proper stance, you're going to see a video of proper stance. Unique thing about this, I've looked all over the internet, there's nothing or nobody has anything like this. This is a great opportunity for you guys to work directly with me, working on your fundamentals and getting you more and more accurate. It's a great opportunity. It starts June the 2nd. We have maybe 4 spots left. If you want to sign up for it, there'll be a link down below that you can get yourself into. If you want to comment tonight, let us know you want to get signed up for it, and we will get you that link itself. It starts 4 weeks, starts June 2nd. That's a Monday night. What do you need? You need a firearm, you need the ability to learn, and you need to be available for the Monday night call at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you need to get to the range at least once a week and shoot at least 50 rounds. You're going to get homework from us. You're going to get everything. And you're going to understand by the end of the 4 weeks, you're going to understand what's causing your inaccuracy, and it's going to improve your accuracy because you'll know what you're doing wrong. So we do first week is fundamentals, second week is trigger, third week is movement, fourth week is control. It's all laid out together for you. It's perfect, and it is something you own for the rest of your life. You're able to get to that and help you tremendously. Firearms training is not difficult. Once you understand what causes a lot of the inaccuracy, and that's what the masterclass does for you. I tried to find something out you guys could get from me. You guys are always asking to work with us. We put this program together for you. It's at a sweet spot right now at $99 for 4 weeks. It's well worth the money, and you're going to improve your accuracy 100%, I guarantee. Okay, that's a good question, Phil. Here we go. Phil just asked a question, and we don't answer too many questions at the beginning, but Phil asked, can you train your non-dominant eye to become dominant? You probably could if you patched over. You could patch over. That's what you see a lot of guys in the Olympics do, is they wear the big patches to make sure their dominant eye stays dominant or their non-dominant eye. There are a lot of people who nowadays are shooting with both eyes open, especially with the red dots. So you can actually train pretty much your dominant eye and your non-dominant eye together. I tend to, my right eye is my right eye and is my dominant eye. So if I shoot left-handed, I'm using my left eye when I use the weapon. So yes, you could physically do that. I don't know if it's ever going to be natural. You have to really work at it, but you could do it. So I would practice more, Phil, on working on both eyes open. If you can get to anything in the master class, the 4th week of the master class is when we work on both eyes open. There's tips and tricks and drills to help you become more proficient with both eyes open. And why do we want to shoot with both eyes open is because when we shoot with both eyes open, we get a bigger field of view. We can see what's going on, and majority of the time it's going to be in low light conditions. That's why we want both eyes open. All right. And one last thing is, don't forget about those ebooks, guys. Those ebooks are available to you for free. You go to the description down below, pick one of the ebooks. What are they about? They're about grip or stance or trigger control, the sight picture, and sight alignment. Pick one of those books. If you haven't got one yet, put it in the cart. Go to checkout and put free book at checkout. It's yours for free. If you want to add a few more to the cart, it will not hurt my feelings. Those books are normally $3.99, but we sell them for $2.99, which is 50% off. And all you have to do is add them to the cart and check out. Put the free one in there, and you get the rest of them at the regular price. And you're supporting a family-owned business like myself, and we would appreciate that very much. Those are great training pieces because it helps you tremendously. That was the whole thing about the masterclass. We started the ebooks. We wanted to give people a way to consume our training, consume our training classes. That's why we put the YouTube channel together. We wanted to have a video. We wanted, right now I'm doing a lot of videos with targets, and you guys are loving those because you get to download the target, take it to the range, and understand it. So we give you a video, we give you that. But the cool thing about the ebooks is the ebooks are another way for you to consume it. Some people can read it and catch it. Some people have to do it and catch it. But if you can read it, see it, and do it, that's a great way to consume a product and become a better shooter to begin with. So grab one of those ebooks if you want to. They'll be in the descriptions down below. Or you can always visit our YouTube channel, which are there as well, or our website. They're on there as well. Okay. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate that very much. Charles loves our videos. We love you, Charles. Thank you very much for saying that, buddy. You're the best. All right. So tonight's live, we're going to train. We're going to talk about the myths on the YouTube channels. And I think it's very important because a lot of times people take how to learn to shoot a pistol. They learn a lot from Reddit. They learn a lot from YouTube. Sometimes I'm not sure if they learn the right stuff, but they learn enough. Now, every instructor who's on YouTube is teaching it their way. Their way is not always the best way, just like my way is not always the best way, but it is a way that I've been teaching for a while, and we have helped out tremendously. I was doing a count of, I've been a firearms instructor since 2013. And I kind of started counting down, trying to figure out, well, how many have I done? How many classes have I done? How many people have I trained and everything else like that? And I say 5,000 because of the timing and the issues. And it's a full-time job for me. I'm not a firearms instructor and something else. And I have done that in the past. I was working somewhere else and doing it. But when I opened the range in 2019 here at our gun range here, we do a ton of them. And we've been doing them for a while. I've been a firearms instructor. I've been an NRA instructor. I'm a USCCA instructor. And my family is USCCA instructors as well. So we've been doing this a long time, and each student I train, I learn something from. And that's the coolest thing ever. I never think that I know it all. And sometimes we can't get a student to do exactly the way we want it to, but we want to give them the knowledge to get it done the way they need to get it done. Because each student learns their own way, and we just need to find the best way for them to learn, if that makes sense. So tonight we're going to tackle some of the biggest myths in the gun world, the kind of stuff you've heard at the range, seen on YouTube, or read in comment sections from folks who never shot a pistol before. We're calling out the nonsense, from caliber myths to laser sights lies, from warning shots that are smart. You don't need to aim. If you ever wonder, is it actually true? You're in the right place. Grab a seat, drop a comment. Let's play a little game tonight. When you hear a myth, or you think it's a myth, go ahead and tell me if it's a myth or a fact. I would appreciate it. And if I say something this evening that you feel I'm missing a myth or two, you can always comment those as well. This is going to be eye-opening, I believe. Maybe you've heard some of these. You may not heard all of them. Some are even a little controversial, but that's what we do here. Let's bust some myths together tonight, okay? So number one is caliber is everything. That means if you shoot the biggest caliber possible, you don't have to worry about it. You're not going to miss. If you shoot the biggest caliber bullet, the better it works. That's a big myth, isn't it? Because if you really think about this, are we really thinking the caliber of the bullet makes a difference? Or is it shot placement and penetration? Because I can tell you, if I took you over there and shot your toe with a 45 ACP, the 45 ACP is a bigger bullet. It's a heavier caliber bullet. It flies very slow. But that toe shot's not going to put you down. Shot placement is almost everything. That's why majority of all agencies, when I say agencies, I mean FBI, sheriff, police, all the places like that, are all rolling back to the 9mm. And the reason why they're going back to the 9mm is for the purpose of capacity. Majority of the agencies many years ago went from 45 to the 40. FBI did 40 caliber. Sheriff's Department did 40 in Lee County. Sheriff's Department did 45, 45 and 40. They went 40 to 45, and then they went to 9mm. And the only reason why they went to 9mm is a higher capacity magazine in the gun. Remember, most of our sheriff's agencies are just now starting to carry AR-15s, but we're fighting against guys that have the higher capacity rifles, and we need to make sure we had enough capacity. So most of the agencies now are issuing some kind of AR-15 semi-automatic. Well, they call it an assault rifle, but it's an AR-15 for a trunk gun is what they call them. Years ago, the sheriff's department used to put a shotgun in the middle of the vehicle, and they used that a lot for protection purposes. But nowadays, they are 15. So when they made the change, when the FBI made the change to 9mm, it just started rolling everybody else. And they wrote this big article, and they went through all the stuff, and they talked about ballistic, and they talked about all the stuff and why they were going back down into 9mm. In the very last paragraph, the very last page, it cited qualifications went back up. That means their agents were able to qualify better with a 9mm than they were a 40 or a 45. The 40 caliber bullet was designed for the agencies because it had enough power to give the terminology knockdown power, which we're going to find that out. That's a myth too. But it had enough kinetic energy to do what they need to do to try to stop a person. Whole reason why we have a firearm is to stop a threat. And sometimes a smaller bullet doesn't do that. But when we have the best shot placement we can, it is a better opportunity for it. And with 9mm, you're able to have control recoil management. You're able to keep the weapon pretty level, and you're able to put the rounds where you need to. You know, a 9mm round placed in the vital zone is far more effective than a poorly placed 45 ACP. The modern self-defense ammo that we're allowed to use, the hollow points guys, are way more effective than they were in the past. They have highly effective control expansions and their reliable penetration. The FBI and most law enforcement agencies use 9 millimeter for this reason. What tends to happen with the agencies is they want to be able to have the same weapon, same product, same magazine. Because if they ever got in a situation where Officer A has ran out of bullets, Officer B can throw him a magazine and it's still going to work in his gun. And that's the key thing that accreditation happens with these companies. Because in the past, before this is years and years and years ago, when we had our sheriff before the sheriff before the sheriff before the sheriff went out to get qualified, and that's when the Glocks came into Lee County. I remember the sheriff doing that, and he came to a Rotary event, and he said they wanted us to carry these plastic Glocks, and he made a joke about how they wanted to put them through the ringer. So they actually took a Glock, dropped it from a helicopter, they dragged it behind a airboat. They went out and did a bunch of stuff and then took it out and shot them. And the Glock was meant to take the beating, and that's what it did. So, as we make comments tonight, guys, I am going to come back and answer the comments as we go. We won't answer them as we're doing them. So, you can make as many comments you want. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to get to the presentation, and then we're going to come back to the comments. Thank you. You don't need to aim in a defensive shooting. You don't need to aim in a defensive shooting. Let me tell you something. We need to aim all the time. I've told you many times before, we are 80% defensive, 20% bullseye. But under stress, you will find your motor skills will deteriorate. And without proper training, accuracy will tank. While point shooting has its place in very close distances, the reality is if you're not trained to shoot under pressure, you are going to miss. And training quickly and accurately to find the sights is imperative. Picking up your sights under due pressure or distress increases survival odds and reduces liability. Never forget, guys, when you're using your weapon, you are responsible for your bullet until it hits the ground. And what it goes through or physically hurts beyond what you're aiming at, there becomes our problem. Some people say, well, I don't need to worry about training because all I got to do is worry about hitting the bad guy at a short distance. The problem with that, in high stress, you're not really thinking about anything, and it's going to put you in a very high stress situation, which could cause you to lower your motor skills. So that is a big myth. You need to practice both ways. And that's why we work on our defensive accuracy as much as we work on our bullseye accuracy. And the more we do both, the easier it's going to be for us when we get to those defensive situations. All right, here's a good one for you. Ready? Laser sights make you more accurate. You can always add laser sights or red dots will make you more accurate. Now, we have on Thursday nights, we have our Thursday night league. And there are people who are using red dots. There are people who are using iron sights. If this was true, why do some of the people who get third place, first place, are using iron sights? Because the laser itself only really gives you a point of accuracy, point of aim. You still have to engage the trigger properly, if that makes sense. And the more proper you are with the trigger, the easier it's going to be. Lasers are a tool, they are not a crutch. If you have poor trigger control, the laser will not help you. It's clearly going to show you the muzzle bouncing around. It's going to show you that. That's the great thing about lasers. You can't hold that gun still enough to stop that laser from bouncing. And then if you're trying to start chasing a dot to get it to stay still, instead of building consistent control of the weapon, the best thing you could do with a laser is just work on a slow, continuous press while letting the laser figure eight on the target. I think one of the challenges of most people, lasers are the dot in the movies. When you see the dot bringing out, a red dot doesn't eject a dot on something, it's in a piece of glass. But the problem with that is too many people use that dot as the aiming device instead of using their eyes as the aiming device. We want to focus on the target and let the dot float. That's an easier way for you to aim a red dot or a laser or anything else like that. The problem with lasers I see is they don't co-witness with the front post. They're a little higher. And if you're trying to put that laser on the front post, you're going to have that gun at an angle of any angle like that. And that's where it's going to be. I think what the problem is with having anything else but the iron sights on there is sooner or later a battery is going to go dead. And you're going to need to know how to shoot that pistol without the laser, without the dot, without the mechanics, basically. I think in the realm of things, a little expensive, but I think you should have a Glock 19 MOS with a red dot and a Glock 19 without a red dot. And you know how to shoot both of them. And mechanically wise, if you ever went to court and that weapon was brought up on the stage in the court system, are they going to question you in regards to why you have a laser on your defensive gun? Why do you have these tools on your gun? Were you expecting to shoot a bad guy? Were you doing all this stuff? And there's ways of looking at it, but anything you add to a pistol, even the back cover, I saw a guy the other day who had the back cover of his Glock. There's a little lever on the backside, and it had skull and crossbone on the backside of it. Okay, and on his grips, he had a Cerakote Glock. It said something like "kill them all and let God sort them out." Now you imagine going to court with that on the gun. What do you think the average person is going to see in that situation? So we want to be careful what we do with lasers and extra add-ons to a gun. All right, here's number 4. I did one while back last year sometime, the movie myths. And this is one of the movie myths. You guys have seen this multiple times. The handgun will knock people off their feet. You ever seen a shotgun being shot in the movie and the guy flies across the room, or the handgun gets shot? I'll come back years ago. I saw a preview of on Netflix, or it was one of those things that it had, it might have been Facebook, it had Dirty Harry on there, and he was in a restaurant and he was shooting a 44 Magnum at the bad guys, and they were flying completely across the room. Well, that's a myth, guys. They don't. They don't physically make you fight. Matter of fact, majority of the time, someone gets shot with a pistol, they don't even know they're shot with a pistol until someone tells them. In a real scenario, they're running for their life at that point in time. So when they get impacted, then when they start slowing down, when they realize what's going on. The myth is one shot and the bad guy flies backwards into the movies. That's Hollywood nonsense. Newton's third law. Let's me quote Newton. I haven't quoted. Oh, Newton, I know is fake Newton, but this comes from information I've got. Um, every action there is has an equal and opposite reaction. If the gun really had that effect, it would even knock you off your feet too. Now, I've seen that happen on some of these YouTube guys. These guys are shooting these crazy weapons, and it throws them backwards because they're not really ready for it. But most handguns are not going to be powerful enough. Now, someone's going to say, "What about the 500 Smith and Wesson?" Well, you're not carrying a 500 Smith and Wesson for defensive purposes. And if you are, it's for bears, not for people. If your gun really had that effect, it would knock you off your feet too. In reality, most attackers don't even realize they've been shot immediately. It doesn't expect a dramatic knockdown. Focus on accurate multiple shots to stop the effect. A couple weeks ago, I talked about the first one to shoot is the first one that wins. The more we shoot, the more we win. And that's the key thing we need to remember. The more we shoot, the more we win. Okay. Number 5 is revolvers never jam. A revolver never jams. That is a myth. That is a bad myth because they will jam. People always say the reason why I shoot a revolver is because a semi-automatic pistol jams. And I say the semi-automatic pistol will not jam. People jam semi-automatic pistols. The gun hardly does if you load it properly. Most of the time, a semi-automatic pistol will jam because they've loaded the magazine wrong, or they're not racking the slide properly, or they're not controlling the muzzle flip. That's where the gun's kicking back and forth. And that's causing that slide to go in a vertical level like that when that slide's supposed to go this direction. And that causes a lot of stuff. But there are some malfunctions that can happen to a revolver. They do. You can get a high primer that can lock up the weapon. In other words, when you close your cylinder, you have a small slit in the front of the cylinder and the back of the cylinder. And for some reason, when you shoot high caliber pistols, it happens a lot with 22s, it happens a lot with the bigger 44s, 357s. That casing can come back just enough to bind up that cylinder. If it binds up that cylinder, when you go to re-pull the trigger, it's not going to go back. You can have timing issues on revolvers. In other words, when you pull the trigger, the cylinder doesn't go all the way where it should be. Or if you having a problem engaging the trigger to begin with, you're just rolling that cylinder forward just enough that it doesn't get where it needs to be. Most of those malfunctions are with older guns, not newer guns. There could be a piece of debris that can get into a casing piece. A piece of lead can cause it and stop the gun from malfunctioning. Revolvers are part of your arsenal. I'm not telling you not to get one, but I will remind you, you have to run it, oil it, and control it just like you do anything else. Revolvers are not foolproof. I hate the concept when men bring women in here and they go, I want my wife to get a revolver because she can't rack a slide. There's so many guns nowadays for women that are very easy to rack and have the ability to give them higher capacity. One of the main problems with revolvers is one, trigger pull. Some of the revolver safety is in the trigger engagement. So you could have a revolver that could have up to, 10-pound trigger pull. And someone who's a senior woman and men can engage the trigger. It's a hard thing for them to get back. And it's even harder to get it back slow enough. You can jerk it and get it back, but that's going to manipulate the pistol. All right. But revolvers will and can jam. They need to be maintained and clean like anything else. And you can run into a problem with a revolver just like you run into a problem with a semi-automatic. All right, number 6. You don't need training. You just need a gun. Yeah. Well, I can tell you there's a lot of people go to the range and think that. There's a lot of people that go to the range and do exactly the same thing they did last time and the time before and the time before and the time before. And they're expecting their accuracy to improve. And majority of the time, that's a big mistake in itself. A firearms instructor like myself helps you develop a system that is repeatable and allows you to build the confidence you need to be accurate with a pistol. Remember, all we're trying to do is build a muscle memory system for you. So when you get into a high stress situation, you're going to be able to run this gun muscle memory. I always ask students that all the time. Who drove here today? And the lady or the husband will raise their hand. And I go, okay, well, how much thinking did you do when you drove today? Did you think about the stop sign coming up and you got to touch the brake? Or was that all natural, just muscle memory? And, oh, well, yeah. Well, that's what this firearms got to become. This firearms got to become part of your job. It's your new job. And if you look at your firearm as a new job, you don't go to your job every 6 months. You go to your job every day. You're the best you can be at your job. That's the thing I always tell students. We need to work on whatever you like. What is it? What is it that makes you tick? What do you like? I like fishing. I like cooking. I like all that stuff. Okay, well, that's what this has to become. It's got to be part of your memory. It's got to be part of what you do on a regular basis. You can't go, okay, wait a minute, bad guy. Give me a few minutes here. Let me get reintroduced into this firearm before we get into this battle. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen very quickly, and you got to be able to be properly trained. Without properly trained, you may be more danger to yourself or others in a critical incident due to the fact that stress will cause tunnel vision. You don't know what tunnel vision is, go ahead and take your hands and put them out in front of you and look through that. And that's the only thing you're going to see. And everything blacks out. Everything around us blacks out, tunnel vision. And you're not going to be able to see the peripherals. You're not going to be able to see everything. Matter of fact, in high stress and a high adrenaline dump, it's been known that your body will shut off everything it deems unnecessary. And it's only going to focus on the important things. And in this situation, it's going to be survival. It's going to be maybe trigger press. It's going to be maybe focusing on the bad guy. But what about the sights? What about grip? What about stance? What about trigger control? What about who else is in the room? Who's behind them? Who's behind the line? All the stuff that's going on. What threats are you looking at? Who is the other threat you need to worry about? All that stuff, but your body's done giving up on all that. On top of that, it's telling you fight or flight. And it ain't hanging around. It doesn't want to hang out. It wants to get it the hell out of there. So we have to shut all that down and work off all this stuff. So that's why building a muscle memory is so important for us, because the decision you need to make and to perform under pressure is so important. You're not just buying a gun, you're taking responsibility for your life and your family's life. So it's so important. Training should be the highest thing you do before you go out and spend a lot of money That's why we offer the try before you buy, guys. If you're thinking about getting into buying a pistol and you are 30 miles or less from us, do not buy a pistol anywhere. Don't take advice from any. You can take advice, go ahead. But at the end of it, you need to shoot the pistols before you buy them. And the more you do that, the easier it's going to be for you, especially in a husband and wife situation. Be honest with you, when the husband and wife combo come in here and we're doing some kind of try before you buy or one of our basic pistol with combo with concealed carry, I'm focusing on her more than I'm focusing on him. Not that he doesn't need it, but a man can shittily hold the gun and shoot it okay. A woman has to work at it, and we have to find the pistol that she can operate it, she can rack it, she can load the magazine. These are all challenging things that women have to do that a man can shittily do and shoot okay. We still work with him, we still get him accurate, but ideally, what a woman has to do is drive that weapon and control it the best they can. And I'd highly recommend that you take a training class. This is the biggest myth that people think. I've shot before. I always ask that question. Hey, have you shot before? Yep, I shot before. Well, how long ago was that? That I was 16. Well, you're 68 years old. You think you know everything you need to know? Oh yeah. Okay. Well, here's what I'm gonna tell you. My insurance is expensive, and I think you should take a training class before you go back in the range. We don't rent firearms. We rent firearms during our training classes. But at the end of it, we only have a small amount of window. If you want to teach your wife to shoot, you want to teach your family to shoot, you need to make sure you get them prepared as much as you can. Because if they do something silly with the firearm, like putting your thumb back behind the slide and getting bit, bad slide bite or something like that, you're going to lose the effect. They're not going to want to do it. They're intimidated anyways when they come to the range because it's something not in the wheelhouse, and we need to focus. That's what a firearms instructor is going to do for you. He's going to focus on your fundamentals. He's going to focus on your safety. He's going to focus on everything you need to do to become more accurate with a pistol. And once you've done that, then it makes it so much easier to come back and shoot with us on a regular basis. All right. Number 7, more expensive gun shoots better. The more money I spend on the firearm, the better I'm going to shoot. That is not true, guys. There's a lot of guys running around nowadays with these $3,500 1911 pistols, and they're still shooting them bad because they don't have a good foundation of what's causing most of the manipulation. A premium gun can offer better features, but it can't fix bad grip. It can't fix bad trigger pull. It can't fix bad sight alignment, bad sight picture. A Glock 19 or Smith & Wesson M&P Shield will outperform a custom 1911 in an untrained hands every time. You'll get better results investing in ammo, training, and time on the range than dumping money into gear. This is a big downfall for most students, is that they get behind something and think, because of the red dot, I can't miss because of this being a high performance weapon. I've got a better trigger in it. I'm going to shoot it. But now, keep in mind, they're all good things that happen when you do that. But at the end of it, if you slap a trigger, you're going to slap the bullet, and it's going to be all over the place. It's very common, very easy to get excited, especially when someone else is buying a high-end gun. But the more expensive pistol does not make you more accurate. I promise you. I promise you today, if I use this to one of our guys who was a guitar guy, I impressed him because his name was Jeff, and Jeff had a pick around his neck. And I always try to give my class something they can bring into their. And I said to Jeff one time, and I don't know, I know guitars, but I don't know guitars. I remember one time my mother got me guitar lessons, and I had this guitar, and this guy had long hair, and he lived in the neighborhood where we lived. He was a reptile guy, and he when he did my mother a favor and got me guitar lessons, and I had this guitar. My mother paid for it, and I went over to this guy, and I was about 3 weeks. 3 weeks, my fingers were killing me. I didn't have the passion. I wish I'd have kept up with it. I didn't have the passion. And I said, well, this guitar is just broke. There's something wrong with it. He grabbed it and did Van Halen's Eruption in front of me. And he said, it's not the guitar, son, it's you. Either take it serious or, calluses are going to come. You're going to have to do it. And I realized at that point in time, it's not the pistol. So when you're at the range and you're shooting bad, you can't look at the gun and go, oh, there's something wrong with this pistol. It's not the pistol, it's you. And that's kind of what. So I was telling Jeff the same thing. I said to Jeff, listen, the cheap guitar I had as a kid, my mother got me at the Five and Dime, and a Fender. It wouldn't matter which one you gave me. I could have Eddie Van Halen's best guitar he ever had. He gave it to me. I still wouldn't be able to play it, guys. And I would never be able to play it like Van Halen. So, Eddie, so that's kind of what we're getting at. It's not the equipment, it's the system. And once you get the system down, you can shoot anything. And I'm a firm believer in that. Because I shoot a lot of pistols from a lot of students because each student says, there's something wrong with this gun. And I take it and I was able to do what I need to do with it. So it's not the weapon, it's the system. Number 8, you can't miss at close range. You can't miss. You cannot miss at 3 to 5 feet. Hitting a target is guaranteed. 3 to 5 feet, hitting a target is guaranteed. If it's the broadside of a barn, maybe. But if we're trying to hit a 3-inch circle, I think we probably should kind of work on that. Now, in a defensive situation, we try to work off vital triangle as much as possible. That's shoulders to groin, and that's a pretty big area. But obviously, we want to kind of focus on that 8-inch paper plate around the vital area here. Will help us tremendously. In real life shootings, people miss at arm's lengths all the time, especially under pressure, panic, poor fundamentals, fast movements make even close range hits challenging. That's why you must train for speed and accuracy under stress or close or short distances, because those are the distances that may happen for us. Shooting one-handed is one of the things that people don't do a lot of. I don't know of too many situations where the bad guys or the good guy is able to get his gun out, get both hands on it, and get to full extension before the fight happens. Most of the time, we're fighting somebody off with our non-dominant hand and getting the weapon out with our dominant hand, because unless you're hanging out in the wrong spots, we don't get an opportunity to do this very often. And if you're having to engage a weapon all the time, you need to move. You need to get out of that situation. Ideally, short distances makes you need to train even more, because the short distances is where we are going to have to maybe do some point shooting. And if you don't practice it, it's very difficult to understand how it works. We still have to be somewhat in control. Now, when you have that gun close to our body, we need to be definitely careful about getting close into the firearm or getting any of our pigments, our arms, our elbows, or our fingers in front of that muzzle as we're engaged in a trigger. These things can happen very quickly. All right. Close does not mean easy. Remember that, guys. You need to practice those close up shots as much as you can. A lot of ranges don't allow you to do it. That's why you need to take a defensive class. Defensive classes are done on a regular basis here at the range. We have one this Saturday if you have an opportunity. Grip, stance, trigger control. We're going to work on shooting around cover, magazine changes, multiple targets, shooting and moving. And we have those once a month during the summer, and we're looking forward to having a few more. If you'd like to join, we'd love to have you. Obviously, hop in the plane and come see us, guys. If not, find a good place you can do a TAC class. They'll help you tremendously understand what you need to practice on a regular basis. Number 9, the Joe Biden thing. You should shoot a warning shot. What did Joe tell the lady? Step out on your front porch and pull both barrels of that 12 gauge shotgun to scare the bad guy away. Well, that is a bad advice Joe gave everybody, and it's bad advice for you. Bad advice, bad advice. Well, technically, in Cape Coral, we are discharging a firearm in the city limits is against the law to begin with. Now, in a defensive situation, they've kind of played that out one way or another. But I've seen people go to jail for shooting a dog. The dog was causing problems and havoc, and the people thought they were the threat of their life. And I've seen they go to jail for discharging the firearm, not for shooting a dog. I've seen them not go to jail for that as well. It all depends on what the cop that shows up and what's going on at the time. This is a very legal, risky, tactical flaw. If you were to discharge a firearm for a warning shot, you put yourself in a situation that you already broke the law. Don't ever forget, a bullet that goes up must come down. And this becomes one of those things where if you have the opportunity or you're pulling a firearm for a warning shot, you have the opportunity to get away, you should get away. The warning shot most likely is going to cause an escalation of the situation, not a de-escalation of the situation. Not only are you going to be tested in the court system, but it's very reckless and endanger other people because that bullet has to come down somewhere. If you draw your firearm, it's because you thought you were in immediate danger. If you're drawing your firearm not to shoot the bad guy, you are not in immediate danger and you shouldn't have drawn your firearm. Firing a weapon without a clear threat or target can land you in jail or cause unintended injuries. Never, ever, ever do warning shots. All right. And number 10, here we get in the end. Number 10, you guys have heard this one, I guarantee you. What have I missed? Which one have I missed? Let's see if someone can say it. Let's see if someone knows what I'm going to say, this last one. And you said all the time. What do you think it is? Somebody, what do you think? All right, here we go. Racking the slide or racking the shotgun will scare the bad guy away. How many times have I heard that? I'm buying this shotgun not to use it. I'm buying this shotgun in case the bad guy comes in. It's a natural sound that they're afraid of, and I'm going to rack it. or I'm going to rack my slide. What's the disadvantage of racking your slide is that you have a weapon in your home that is unloaded. How can you save your life or the life of your loved ones if the weapons aren't loaded? What you're telling me is you're going to wait to load your firearm until you need it, and then you're going to rack the slide, hoping that the bad guy has great hearing and can hear the racking of the slide or the racking of the shotgun. You could have the cheapest, crappiest motorhome, RV. You're inside, I'm outside, the ambient noise from outside, maybe a dog is barking, and I'm supposed to hear the racking of a shotgun to scare me away. And let's say, for instance, you racked that slide, he didn't hear it, he came in again. Are you going to rack it again to scare him again? At that point in time, you rack it again, you're putting a round on the ground. Always think about these things, because when we get this stuff thrown at us, these are most of the time, these myths you're hearing about are from gun haters. They're not really gun people. They're people who are repeating this bullshit each week, trying to get the one person that will believe it. Racking the slide, and the comment is the sound alone will stop the threat, unless the bad guy can't hear the sound, unless the insects and the outdoor noises don't drown out the racking of the slide. Don't bet your life on a sound effect. If someone's dangerous enough to warrant a firearm, don't rely on intimidation. Encourage people to leave, and this is more than anything, it's encouraging you to leave your guns unloaded. Now, okay, don't get all crazy here. And I understand if you have children, you got to make sure the guns are safe. I'm not saying leave a gun unattended for a child. But I will tell you that when you're in a situation, you don't need any hurdles at all. You need to get to the threat, do what you need to do, and go on. And the more hurdles we have, the easier it is. I'm not saying load your firearm if you're not comfortable having it loaded in your home. But what I am saying is, if you don't have the weapon loaded in your home, it's very hard to save yourself. That's like having fire extinguishers inside your kitchen, but the stuff that makes the fire go out is not in the extinguishers. They're in the garage. And now you got to go out of the garage and get the stuff, put it in the extinguisher, and then at that point in time, charge the extinguisher to put the fire out. That makes no sense, right? That makes no sense at all. I always tell the students when they come here, what time did you get up this morning and put tires on the car to come to town? They're like, what? No, they're on the car. Yeah, exactly. You don't put tires on the car to come to town. The tires on the car to begin with. You don't take the gas out of the tank each night and put it back in the morning before you go to town. If you have to do that, you're living in the wrong neighborhood. All right, well, that wraps up the myth busting session. Hopefully we have shattered some few of the internet fantasies and gave you some truth to build on. At the end of the day, your safety doesn't come from the caliber, the gear, the flashy red dot. It comes from training, practice, and mindset. If you take one thing away from tonight, let it be stop relying on myths and start building real skills. The internet is full of noise, but at the range, your results speak for themselves. If you enjoyed tonight's live, don't forget to hit the like button, and share it with someone who needs to stop believing this junk. Drop a comment with the worst myth you ever heard, and let's keep the conversation going. Guys, this evening was fun. I can tell you this. We're going to go to the comments here in a few seconds. But I will tell you, before you get off this evening, I want to make sure each and every one of you check your subscriber button. Make sure you are still subscribed to my channel. Something's happening each week, and some people get unsubscribed from my channel. I don't know what it is. It happens. Make sure you check it each time you do. Beautiful. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate you checking out. All right, so let's go back up, look at some of the comments, see how we do here. All right. Well, Phil, thank you very much for being here this evening. Appreciate you very much. Howard, thank you as always. Stan, you're the best. I look forward to working with you. See you Thursday night at the league. All right. Chris, as always, see you Thursday night at the league. Appreciate you always being there, Chris. Let's go. I gave you dominant eye situation there, Phil, didn't I? Yeah, I don't have any questions about that. All right. Charles, thank you very much for loving our videos. We appreciate you very much. As always, thank you. Thank you. Charles, where are you from, buddy? Charles says shot placement's more important. He is right. Here's one Charles asking, what's the take on a dog? I'm walking down the road and the dog comes out. I'm trying to get me. Can I defend myself again? It's according where you live, buddy. There are places, I know Georgia has the aggressive dog law. Florida does and doesn't. It's according to what agency you're going to do. I can tell you this. That's like the alligator thing or the bear thing and all that stuff like that. It all depends on what sheriff agency shows up, what police agency shows up. I would check with your sheriff's department, see what the rules are about that. You could probably be better off by using a Kimber blaster or something like that that gives you some distance. Because remember, our nose, our sense nose is probably 4 or 5. The dog's nose probably 40, 50 times bigger than ours as far as sense goes. So you shoot them with pepper spray, they are not hanging around. They're going to be very aggressive. Just remember, when you shoot anything out in the open like that, you're not shooting a dog, you're not shooting a coyote, you're shooting someone's family member, and it can logistically, legality-wise, can put you in a situation. I've had it happen in Cape Coral where a husband shot 2 aggressive pit bulls. Cape Coral did absolutely nothing to the man. They actually charged the 2 Cape Coral people who had the dogs because they'd been to that neighborhood 4 times about the dogs getting out of the cage, and it was clean. I've seen it where it happened. Lady was attacked by a dog. The man shot the dog, and he went to jail. So it's all depends on each scenario that goes on. Does not make sense, I understand, but it all depends on what kind of situation, what's going on in the scenario. So I really can't tell you where you live, Charles, if that's the scenario. But I would check definitely with your police or sheriff, whoever you deal with, and find out what they're saying. And I would check with the actual sheriff himself, not his deputies. Here in Florida is kind of weird. We're a transient state. So when you ask 5 cops 5 different questions, you're getting what they've been told, what someone's told them, what they believe, and what the law is. And there's our challenge. Not everybody knows every law and every regulation, but because they are from a state that's not Florida, they have a little bit of Florida and a little bit of New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Kentucky, and they kind of intermingle those together. And that's what they go by the seat of their pants with. And it's somewhat challenging for us to get the true factors. And once you go to jail for something, it gets in the internet, you're never getting that back out. So just because you think you can, you better make sure you know you can. Because what ends up happening, anyways, in any court system, I don't know if you guys know this, but the prosecutor, the main person who's looking at this, all he looks at when he goes to trial for anything, he looks at what a reasonable man would do. And he's going to run through the jurors of your pair. He's going to go through them and he's going to ask him the same question. If you were this guy, would you have pulled the trigger or would you have done something else? And that's the question that every defendant is asked and every jury is asked. And if they all said yes, you got no problems. It's when they half say yes and half say no that you don't. If you can get away without pulling the trigger and get away without getting hurt, my suggestion is always your firearm is your last option, not your first option. Never has, never will be. All right. Hope I answered your question, Charles. All right. Charles says he trains once a week. That's great, Charles. That's good. You should. Charles said he wishing so far away he'd be here. Thank you. No, we don't do any live training classes because the internet freaks out about that. You can't do a live because if some mistake happens, someone shot themselves, it would be put across here. Everything has to be recorded. So it's never live. All right. What's your thoughts? This is Stan on night sight versus green or red dots. And in your opinion, are they better than stock iron sights? I can tell you if I'm going to get a red dot on a gun, and I know Stan's Jones and they get a red dot. He just wants one so bad. If you're going to buy a red dot, Stan, we're going to get you a green one, buddy. I would look at the Holosun 407s for your that's not 40. It would be a 407. I think it's 407K for the Shield. I think that's what it is, but verified. It's going to be solar, so it's going to have a battery, but it's going to have a solar backup. And do green, Stan, because in daylight use, you will see the green, you will not see the red. And low light conditions, obviously the red shows up pretty well. As far as night sights versus green dot, I don't know how much visually you should be shooting your gun that you can't see your sights to begin with, if that makes sense, Stan. I get the concept on it in low light conditions, but physically, if I have to use my sights, my actual glow in the dark night sights, I probably can't identify the threat. So at that point in time, I would not be. If I'm going to get night sights, I'm putting one there because it came with a gun. I wouldn't buy night sights for the pistol. I think it drives me crazy when I watch all these movies. It's just as easy to reach up and flip on the lights. And majority of the ambient light in most neighborhoods, your house isn't dark anyways. There's so much. Your refrigerator's putting off light. Your night lights are putting off light. The outdoor lights are putting off lights. And the one tactical thing, Stan, you have versus anybody else that's in your home is you know your house like the back of your hand. So you don't need the lights like a bad guy would need them because he doesn't know. Obviously, there's 12 floor plans all in Cape Coral. They all feel the same. They all look the same. We have 14, 16, 18, 22, 2400 square foot. There's only so many spots you could be. You're going to be most likely in a situation be in your master bedroom and your front and your living room is where, if you're going to go after them, that's where you would be. But in my opinion, you should let them come to you, not go to them. So when we look at the red dots themselves, I am not a red dot guy. I never have been. But if you want to get a red dot, I would recommend the Hollow Sun, the Rad from Crimson Trace. All of these are shake awakes. They're not going to run a lot of battery use. That's the one thing about Green's laser take red dots take a lot of battery, so they take up a lot. Again, if I'm doing it, I would make sure that I have two pistols, one with and one without, and you want to learn both of them 100%. And one cool thing about the Hollow Sun and the Rad is they have, especially with the equalizer, your sights are high enough to co-witness through that unit so you can actually see your dots compared to buying a gun with higher sights that do not co-witness through. I hope I answered your question there, Stan. I got on a tangent there. In those three dot white sights on the equalizer is probably one of the better, clear sights you could find. But you do you, boo. Whichever way you want to do. Look at Hollow Sun. Look at the Rad from Crimson Trace. You can look at Trigicon and all the other ones, but they're more expensive. I think the Hollow Sun right now, the 407 model with the solar, is probably the best buy on the market. Looking to 230 to 260 according where you get it. I think I can get them from my distributor for about that 235 to 240 range. But you can get them online, and the Amazon has them too, about 235. I'm not exactly sure how that works with Amazon. They look. I get the package in for mine. I get the package in from theirs. It looks like the same. It just looks to me that Amazon's just giving them away, making pennies on the dollar. I guess they're going off volume. But we would love to help you if you want to. One of the good things we do, Stan, is we'll install it and sight it in for you. Amazon can't do that. But if you want to pick it up over there and have us do that, we charge a little fee for it. Oh, well, that's the Tuesday night live for tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you each week for being here. All right. I appreciate that, Charles. 9 people on. Most people have liked it before. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Okay. Jacksonville. There we go. Charles is from Jacksonville. No, I understand. Listen, hey, getting a dog bite is not a good thing, man. That Charles says I wasn't trying to hurt the dog. No, but yeah, that what happens a lot of times when you get those aggressive dogs, the bullet may actually make him want to attack even more. You never know, right? I've done the dog hunts before with hogs, and a hog's 9 out of 10 hogs will not go towards the dog, but there's always that one time where there's been a hog that's been really abused by a bunch of dogs, and he aggressively attacks the dog and anybody around the dog. So obviously, you got to be careful with that. This year deer hunting is the first time when I took 10 years off. First time I was ever rushed by a hog. I've been hog hunting my whole life, and it was the first time. It was at night, and I was walking back to my truck. Now, he didn't get me. He just came at me, and I tell you the truth, I probably didn't even see him. I heard him more than I saw him, but he came and cut right in front of me, and I just, he made a big bark noise. All right. Yeah. All right, Chris. Let's go here. Gonna stop by tomorrow, do a little bit of practice. This thing. Yeah, I mean, there are the cruiser ready situation. That is designed for vehicles. That's not designed for home defense. I would tell you that if I'm gonna have a gun, if I'm gonna have that, what cruiser ready means, guys. What he's saying, what the shotgun itself. Let's say a home defense shotgun has 5 rounds in the tube and 1 goes in. Right, he's gonna have 5 in the tube, and he's gonna rack 1 in. Now you could have an extra round there and load it in, but you'd be 1 short. That's what cruiser ready meant, because it was designed for going in cruisers of those sheriff's department's cars. That when they had it in their rack, there was not 1 in the chamber. One of my good friends that retired from the Cape Coral Police Department said that one of the deputies one time came in with a hole in the top of the. This was Calvin. His name was Calvin, and he worked for the Cape Coral Police Department for 32 years, 33 years. He'd been there an awful long time. And one of the new rookies came and brought the car in and shot a hole in the ceiling of the police car because he didn't do the cruiser ready situation. He actually had 1 in the chamber and went to go get it out of the vehicle and shot a hole right through the roof of the car. How do you explain that? Okay, Charles says the Vortex Defender is a good one. That's what he has on his. There we go. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate that very much. All right. Thank you, Chris, for that information. Cruiser ready is the way to go, but I would rather you have all the rounds in there ready to rock and roll. Don't worry about that. Especially somebody like yourself, Chris, who does not have children and pretty much lives alone. You're not worried about doing anything stupid with the shotgun. Having it loaded is going to help you. Now, I'm a firm believer in having a shotgun in the home for home defense. I'm a firm believer that a shotgun and an AR-15 are to get you to your pistol. Your pistol is your best home defense weapon. No shotgun, no AR is going to transition better than a handgun. You just put the handgun in front of you and lean to the left or to lean to the right, using as much of the walls as cover. You're going to be a lot more protected than using some kind of long rifle or AR-15 that you have to transition right or left. Okay, well, that is the live for this evening. We appreciate each and every one of you for being here each week. If God willing, I'll be back next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Until next time, God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line defense. I love you guys very much. Good night. Bye-bye.